There was a little bit of traffic noise last night, but the advantage of nights like yesterday is you don't notice a moderate amount of traffic anymore. So talking to the lady last night, they actually had a tornado hit here about 2.5 weeks ago, ripped up the trees, and this place was a mess. So they've done a fair amount of work cleaning it up. Nice enough spot. Really enjoyed camping here. Unfortunately, my feet have not quite healed up as much as I was hoping overnight. While I am admittedly not the biggest fan of staying in campgrounds or parks after the experience of the last couple of years, we lived in campgrounds in Southern California for the off season for 3 years. I will say it has been rather nice out here. Generally, we've been alone. There hasn't been a lot of other noisy folks, unlike, say, what happened on the CNO. That is partially why I like these lesser done trails. I mean, any of the campgrounds along the Appalachian Trail, it was just a tent city full of snoring. And I don't personally feel the need to camp around others for safety or anything, so it's pretty much all negative doing something like that. We are currently on hold for a little while longer. Basically, I started having this weird heel blister and some foot swelling. I think it's just the amount of hiking we've been doing. You know, it's been 600 miles since the last zero, which is crazy. That's not me. I am the guy who has to do zeros far, far more often generally. There isn't a whole lot I can do. I've been managing the blister, but the swelling wasn't helped by yesterday's 24-mile day instead of the 28-mile day before. So we're gonna start a little later. There is another town on about 10 miles. That's gonna be our rough plan, see how things develop, and we may stop there. Our goal is to just try and keep progress up because we wanna maximize the amount of progress we make while Jen is with me. At the same time, I don't wanna push it to the point where I'm not having fun, which I haven't been enjoying the hiking for the last day or two, or where something more serious goes wrong and I end up knocked off the trail for like a week. I just keep thinking maybe at some point I'll get better at this whole hiking thing, but hey, what you gonna do? I really wish trying to do late mornings, longer breaks felt like it had a bigger effect. I mean, obviously time off your feet is time off your feet, but it often feels like the only thing that really helps me is getting a 0 day, getting another night off of my feet. But it's often just a mental thing. I've had many days where I've pushed out of town because I had to, because I couldn't afford another day or I couldn't afford the time. And things work out once you get moving and your body kind of adapts on the move. So here's hoping that happens today. Despite a kind of smattering of pain and issues, just like weird rub chafe marks in odd places, things like that. Things have been showing marked improvement as far as weather. My shirt actually was able to dry last night. And if that doesn't seem like that big a deal, you have not hiked in humid areas. It is 11 o'clock and we are moving, despite me trying to delay Jen by serenading her with the goat step version of the Gunther Ding Dong song. Look it up, it is an amazing song. It is what I use for my morning alarm and it never gets old, just as. Hey, look at that face. That face says it never gets old.
It's horrifying. Yes, I'm disoriented. It's weird.
You like goats. It uses the screaming goats along with the Gunther Ding Dong song. Oh, you touch my tra-la-la. Truly, he is the lyrical master of our generation. Anyway, what were we doing?
We were talking about how nice it was to get an extra couple hours of sleep this morning.
Somebody got an extra couple of hours of sleep this morning. Somebody else woke up at like 4:45 and has been drinking coffee and working on videos all this time. So we have another town in about 10 miles that has camping accommodations, another park we can set up in apparently. So our plan is to kind of go that far and then evaluate things. I'm hoping we can do another 5 or 6 miles after that. I like having my off days being, 16 miles and our on days being 22 to 25 if possible. Of course, every now and then I am thinking about how, on previous through hikes, just consistently doing 20 plus all the time would have made me quite happy, but that's me, never happy. As of right now with how I'm doing progress-wise, we're a little short of the halfway mark. If I can keep this pace up and I don't take a single break, which at the rate pasty-faced McTater butt here is driving me, I will not get a break short of having appendicitis, a brain worm. I hear those are going around. Who knows?
I was quite happy to take take a break this morning.
This morning. Not like give Matt a 0 day. That, no. If it's Jen sleeps in a little, that yes. But anyway, currently moving things forward, I would be finishing mid-November. Now that means no breaks, nothing major going wrong. That's not that realistic, but it means I'm at least still within the window. The one reliable thing out here for me is that I cannot rely on things not going wrong. I can rely on me performing disappointingly, which is something that a lot of my exes have also said.
That no ex.
So internally, I'm still kind of assuming I'm going to finish up somewhere in November and have to come back at the end of the Yukon. I am hoping to finish up this year and basically doing everything I can. There isn't a whole lot of things I could have done differently this trip to be much ahead of where I am. Short of not getting sick in BC. That would have been nice. I also kind of figure that the terrain we've been walking on, both the roads and the rail trail, is about as ideal and easy as I'm going to get. So I figure if anything, it's going to get harder to make reasonable progress further west. Also, days are getting shorter and all of that usual nonsense. Though, as it gets colder, sometimes I have to keep walking to keep warm. And they also are saying that climate change is causing the days to become just the slightest bit longer. So, woohoo! And lest you think it's just us and the homeless folks out here in the middle of Kansas. Well, technically we're not in the middle of Kansas yet even. We're still on the eastern-ish part of Kansas. A quarter of a way into Kansas. Lots of Kansas to go, Jen. Oh, that's right. You don't want to be on YouTube. I see, Dougie. At least so far, so good-ish. My feet are still hurting, my heel is still tender, but I'm managing to make it work, and we've come 8-some miles. So our plan right now, we have another mile or so to get to the trailhead that has water, and then it's going to be a 15-mile dry section. We don't think we can quite push it through the 15-mile dry section based on how late we started in my feet. So we'll load up with a gallon of water each and see if we can get somewhere in the 16 to 18 to 20-ish mile range, and then just stealth camp along the trail. And welcome to what we think is our last water stop of the day. Like the lady told us when she welcomed us into the campground last night, kind of out here in the middle of nowhere. Okay, so we have a gallon of water on our backs. Some of us drank 3 liters of water to try and camel up. So there's going to be a lot of peeing for this next section. So it is 4:30. It is currently 9 miles in and 15 to go to Council Grove. With the foot issue, our thought is we're actually going to cut it off in about 11 miles where there is some sort of a established campground set up by the Rail Trail Association. So we'll stay there. It'll be a dry camp, hence why we have a gallon of water on our back each. And then in the morning, we'll have 3 or 4 miles into town, get some food, push on, and we have a rough plan of hopefully getting back to kind of more normality if my feet behave. I was just telling Jen at that stop that it has become noticeably more arid. I was squirting off my hair and a couple other things in the water fountain, and the cement all around was drying off while we were sitting there. Not a surprise, but kind of a relief considering, you know, the humid east. I've started being able to actually dry off my shorts and shirt at the end of the day when they're soaked in sweat. Starting to feel more western. Hey, we're getting into cow water territory.
We've seen a huge change in the character of the trail over just the course of today. This morning we were still in what we've been in the last few days, which was pretty dense trees on both sides of the trail, occasionally even little pine forest patches, which were really neat. And then mostly corn and soybean fields off to the sides of the trail. And then really suddenly this afternoon, it opened up. Only occasional trees on the side of the trail now, and instead we're in these wide open grazing lands. Seeing sudden and dramatic changes like that is one of the things that makes a long distance hike so special. And it also really makes you appreciate the beauty of a place more than you would maybe otherwise if you hadn't seen that change. So for example, a couple years ago on the CDT, we spent a lot of time going through the cowlands of Montana and Idaho, kind of like this, right? Views for a long time, mostly just grassy fields, occasional cows, and I was so sick of them. But this afternoon, since we got into this, I've been loving every minute. And a lot of it is just that change making you notice and appreciate new things about the place. Also, the plants have been more diverse, I think. Really impressive diversity of beautiful flowers and prairie grasses. And the bugs have been really distinctive. In particular, this one type of dragonfly that sits up on the stems of plants in a very distinctive way and then usually flies off quickly when I try to film it. I think I kind of caught it once earlier. That's been very distinctive to this area for me. And then the grasshoppers, we saw those a couple times in Missouri, but they've been all over, where anytime you step near the edge of the trail, there'll be 10 of them quickly bounding away.
We're also just being swarmed by these guys. They remind me of the sweat flies we had up in Montana, but they're not the same. Eight o'clock. We got about 3 more miles to this marked campsite. Otherwise, we'll just make something work out. But the last weather forecast I pulled said it's going to rain on us tomorrow. We're kind of looking forward to it. Okay, a little before 9 o'clock. Supposedly there is a rail trail campsite here. That means we were able to make 20 miles, which I will take as well as an off day. And hopefully my feet will be doing better tomorrow.
We ended up doing about 20 miles today. Very satisfying for a late start day, and especially those last few hours of hiking through the fields and prairie in the evening was really lovely. And we ended up at a fairly nice campsite. This is part of the Legawaho Memorial Park, which seems like it's a new park that they're still developing, but the campground is pretty much ready to go, and it's far a bit off from any roads or the trail, so it feels like we're way out in the trees here and should be a really nice quiet night. Then tomorrow morning we're headed into Council Grove and on toward Harrington. Home sweet home for the night.